So what delusions do we need to come then in order to create our own reality?
Well, first of all, you've got to realise that causes in the future, not the past.
Right.
Secondly, you've got to realise this is the illusion, the inner worlds are more real.
Okay.
You see, if you think this is all real, it'll never change. If you know it's a dream, you can always redream it.
So
It's the things you make real in your life, the things you have a hard time changing.
So you may be in a certain pattern and you think it's always going to be this way, or you've got one idea and you're focused on attaining it and it's not working.
It's usually because you make it too real. And different people, different things are real. Some people are really good at manifesting the small things in your life, like a parking space at the right point and whatever. But then they might have no control of their relationships because they make that too real.
Right.
Some people think you can change anything but not your relationships because they're real. Another person might say the job's real or money's real, therefore can't change that.
Right.
Another person thinks the health is real, so they might do automatic fix for everything else and they get ill, they run to the doctor and get drugs. They can't control it. I think that you can't control is the thing you're making real.
Right.
And that's why you can't control it.
So really you're saying that don't make it real, realise it's a dream and our thoughts we can change instantaneously.
Exactly. If you know it's your creation, you can always redream it.
Yeah, and so if you've got any things that you maybe don't want to achieve anymore, then just drop them.
Yes.
And say, today's a new day, let's start again.
Then, yeah, exactly, you decide what you want to create next.
And as far as delusions go, like, I know there's like some, you've heard of delusions of grandeur, where people think, I can change the world, which is, me personally, is going to do it, but that's not really feasible.
There's two kinds of delusion, really. There's delusions of grandeur, then there's also delusions of insignificance.
And what's that?
Well, on one hand, you might say, I'm going to do it all myself. The other, you say, I can't do anything, because it's too big. The truth is in the middle. You can do your part to change the world with everybody else. And how do you know you're not the one person that's going to finally tip the balance that changes, that your effort is what's going to make the difference?
So
if there's hundreds of people working, it might take one more to tip the balance.
Okay.
How do you know that's not you?
So it's like taking responsibility for the world, but not taking it too seriously.
Doing your part.
Doing your part, yeah.
And realise others are doing theirs too.
So therefore, is it important that when we have our future cause, that they think of benefiting the world as well?
We need to, because everything is connected to us, we're all connected. Everything out there in the world is going to affect you.
So it's not about selfish goals then?
Well, everything that comes to you comes to other people, even your money. If there's nobody else to give you money, you're not going to get it. It doesn't just appear from nowhere.
So it's important.
So the other people around you are important, so you have to consider the world in order to consider yourself.
There's also a thing in shamanism about cursing.
Yes.
How can someone who's not trained in shamanism, well, first of all, how could you use a curse for the ordinary person, and how would that person want to use it, and how could they use it?
Well, it's going to require some kind of training. You need to learn a bit of magic to do it. But obviously, the more practice you have, the stronger you can do it.
Okay.
I mean, some curses are actually really weak. Everybody can learn to do a curse, which is called a bit of bad luck to somebody, but it doesn't really make any positive change.
Right.
Sometimes you just force which can actually stop the abuse, stop what's happening there.
So you need to study cursing and a certain ritual.
Yes, it takes a certain amount of training, a certain amount of will.
Okay.
And a certain amount of responsibility to actually take control of your destiny.
And is there a specific meditation then for that? Is it a meditation or it's just a ritual you do to do a curse?
There's always rituals to learn because some of the ancient techniques using certain god forms and spells and things are useful.
How did these gods get found out about, and these spells and rituals? How do you know what to put on the altar and things like that?
This is ancient knowledge because at some point people were much closer to the gods and they could communicate with them more easily. And so we have to remember these things, because these days everything becomes so materialistic and so left-brained, a lot of people are not aware of gods anymore. And so with practice you have a clear communication with them. And this is how it used to be. In the old times when these old scripts were first written, people had a close communication with gods and could actually write down what the gods wanted of them.
So you're saying life was really different in the old times? It wasn't just like it is just now?
Of course it's all changing.
But like in what you see, and what your ability to psychically perceive and things like that, humans were, you could say, more evolved in the past, were de-evolved.
In some ways, obviously the rational mind has increased, but everything else has gone. The intuition, a lot of social responsibilities have gone downhill. People lack community these days because everything is so much into work and logical minds and the career.
So do you think in the future for humanity to really get back to that, well, do you think that should be our focus now, to get back to these kind of things?
People have to have purpose in life. The problem is when people are kept in slavery, they're simply designed to survive. There's nothing else for them. If you've got space to have time, not just time to think for yourself, you can have purpose. You can find out things you want to do.
So this is
like spirituality develop.
So children, basically, they're told not to daydream. This is where it starts, really.
Yeah.
Because that's like a magical realm children enter.
Again, they're being controlled, being told that what the adults are telling them is right, and they mustn't think what they want to think.
And that's
giving the power away right from the beginning.
So children, when they're born to this world, are they still got magical abilities that, if nurtured properly...
But there's still got imagination and feeling, there's the possibility of magic.
But then they go to school.
Yeah, basically.
School knocks it out of them.
Yes.
You were talking earlier today about the pineal gland when children start school. Can you just briefly say...
Well, you find that in most people, the pineal gland gets calcified by the age of 6.
So the pineal gland is what produces DMT in the brain?
It's not so much the DMT and many things which create psychic activity. The main hormone being produced there is called 4-methyl tetrahydrobeta-carboline, which is produced by pineal gland, and that's what gives the psychic activity. And it's also to do with your creativity, and if you're not free to think, become rigid, you can't function.
So children, instead of sitting in the classroom being told to be quiet, they should be playful and follow their dreams. And
they should use the imagination, they should dream, it's important.
So you think society could reorganise itself with everyone following their own dreams, and then nature would kind of provide a joiner at the right place and a carpenter?
Oh yes, it can happen, but obviously the leaders won't let that happen, because they want to keep people in slavery.
So you're talking about leaders. I mean, I've recently begun to think that evil is real. It's not just a word. You know, these leaders who are behind the Vatican and stuff like that are actually...
Well, what else is evil? If they're completely controlling people's lives, even killing millions to their profits, and not having any spiritual growth or any quality of life, I mean, what else is more evil? Exactly,
yeah. So what can we do then to stop the evil in the world?
Well, the first step is to take responsibility for ourselves, and then we start by thinking for ourselves, not believing them. If we then know we can work our magic again, we decide to actually create the world we want, and we can do magic to disarm their efforts.
So you've got 3 kind of things on your website, I believe, that talks about doing spells.
Yes.
And one of them is destruction of universal demons. What do you mean by that?
Well, by a demon, we're talking about a negative force that's become personified. Like the elementals. If there's a group of people who've been functioning for many generations, the elemental force is built so strong it's like a living thing of itself. And this is the force that's keeping them all going. If you destroy that force, then the people within it change.
Okay, so these people are controlled by this force. We destroy the force, and then the people themselves get freer.
Well, they have a chance to change, but obviously if there's like in their way, they'll try and recreate it again. At least if you're taking the energy away from it, they've lost all the power that's behind it.
And maybe if everyone else changes and show them a better way, then these people could learn.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe they need to be completely disempowered and put down. Sure, they can't treat people this way anymore.
And then maybe come back in another life and be a child and dream something good. Okay, I'd like to talk a little bit about conspiracy theories then, because you know, it's obviously it's got so much connotations, that word now, because of people like David Icke or Alex Jones has made anyone that thinks outside the box or talks outside the box gets labelled by the general public, by your average Joe kind of thing, as a conspiracy theorist. Do you think basically there is a world agenda that the conspiracy theorists talk about? There's a pre-planned agenda from a long time ago. It's all planned.
It's been planned for many generations, yes. It's the same families who hold all the money in the world.
How long ago do you think? Where would you say it started?
The Illuminati was known to actually form in the 17th century. Actually in Germany. They met and actually formed what we call the Illuminati.
Was that Adam Weishaupt?
There was a few. It was made in banking families, like the Rothschilds and Rockefellers, the Warburgs.
So you think really doesn't go back to as far as ancient Egypt, this kind of world?
The roots of it will be there, but obviously they may not have been called the Illuminati then. But of course the pattern was set then.
Okay.
See, already from Akhenaten, when he kind of took over and threw out the old gods and wanted to create a new religion, he was already controlling people. He was already putting these new methods of control in place.
So there was a time in Egypt where Egypt was a magical place and everyone worshipped different gods.
Yeah.
And then this Akhenaten came into place, and he basically...
destroyed all the old religions, so there was one new religion, everybody would worship the sun disk.
And then dominated the people and made them slaves then.
Took away their rights.
And that kind of basic mindset has spread out since then.
Yes.
And
well, they would have thought that before. I think ever since there's been culture, there's been somebody who wants to lead it.
Yeah.
and it's a natural kind of thing amongst the alpha men to compete. They're always going to be fighting for dominance there.